Good evening. I would like to call to order the Coatesville Area School District School Board meeting for Tuesday, March 24th, 2022. Agenda item 1B, reading of the mission statement. The mission of the Coatesville Area School District, rich in diversity and committed to excellence, is to create innovative educational experiences which are funded by the taxpayers, supported by the community, delivered by dedicated teachers and administrators, to ensure all students will become responsible, contributing global citizens. Agenda item 1C, advisement. By notice of the President, board members are advised that all votes shall be regarded as roll call votes. The minutes should also note that public notice was given for this meeting in accordance with Act 93 of 1998, Section 1. School board meetings shall proceed in accordance with school board policy. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Rob Fisher.
Here.
Brandon Roan.
Here.
Carvel Brown.
Here.
Holly Charest.
Here.
Andrew Finkbonner.
Here.
Becky Harlan. Here. Mary Ann Harris.
Here.
Amelia Mills.
Here.
Jennifer Schott.
She's on her way in.
She's on her way in. Alicia Hudnell.
Here.
Allison Shrivert.
Here.
Before we observe a moment of silence this evening, followed by the salute to the flag, I would ask that you would keep in your thoughts and prayers Hagar Nero, first grade teacher at Rainbow School who passed away recently. Please consider your thoughts and prayers for her family, for her friends, and the Rainbow staff. So at this time, we will have a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please stand. Color guard, present the colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Before we move forward with this evening's business agenda, I'd like to take things a little bit out of order this evening, and we have a very special presentation by Mrs. Michelle Snyder, the principal at the Coatesville Area Senior High School. Mrs. Snyder.
Thank you, Board of School Directors. Thank you, Board of School Directors, parents, and community members. I'm Michelle Snyder, and I'm the principal of the Coatesville Area Senior High School, and it is my honor and privilege to recognize students who have the distinct honor to graduate from high school with an associate's degree from Delaware County Community College, along with a high school diploma on June 9th. The program with Delaware County Community College began in the fall of 2018. And the students in this year's graduating class began taking classes at Delaware County Community College in the beginning of their sophomore year in the fall of 2019. In order to earn an associate's in arts, liberal arts degree, students must earn 61 credits, which is typically earned through 20 college courses. Of the 31 students graduating high school and leaving the Coatesville Structured Pathway Program in 2022, 26 students have earned their Associates in Arts, Liberal Arts degree and are transferring to a 4-year institution. The other 5 students are completing degree requirements at Delaware County Community College during the summer and fall semesters. Transfer planning and degree completion are supported through the advising and guidance of both Coatesville High School guidance counselors and Delaware County Community College transfer advisors. The students currently attend, or they did attend because they graduated, they attended Delaware County Community College Exton campus daily, Monday through Friday, and then if they chose to, during the summer, to earn their associate degree credits. I want to thank the Board of School Directors who had the foresight to see this program through, and because of you and the work that these students did, their financial savings as they enter into college will be significant. And coming from a mom that understands what student loan debt looks like for students, that's very important. So thank you all for that. And at this time, I would like to recognize 3 of our seniors who are here tonight, and I'm going to have them come forward and be recognized. Do you want them to come up, or do you want them to just come across? So the good news is that the students are also being recognized on June 1st. Delaware County Community College and school board directors and dignitaries will be here to recognize the students as well. So we're looking forward to that very special celebration as well. So students, as I call your name, if you could please come forward and be recognized. Stephanie Calais. You can stand. Yep, thank you, Stephanie. Chaylee Crane. And last but certainly not least, Jacob Stewart, who when you see Jacob, I promised we'd get him out of here in time for baseball practice since he has to prepare for a playoff game. So congratulations, students, on all of your accomplishments. We're very proud of you. Congratulations. And thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Snyder. And students, before you rush off, on behalf of the entire board, congratulations on a job well done and for taking advantage of a wonderful program. And moms and dads, as Mrs. Snyder said, certainly does help your pocketbook when you have 61 credits going into post-secondary education. So congratulations to you all on behalf of the board. Moving on with this evening's agenda. Agenda item number 2. To my colleagues, are there any additions, deletions, or modifications to this evening's agenda? Additions, deletions, or modifications to this evening's agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to agenda item 3A, approval of the minutes. Recommended motion that the Board of School Directors approve the minutes for the April 26, 2022 school board meeting subject to any additions, deletions, modifications, or clarifications. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Jennifer Schott,
Yes.
Brandon Roan,
Yes.
Andrew Finkbonner,
Yes.
Rob Fisher,
Yes.
Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Holly Charest,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris, Amelia Mills,
Yes.
Harvell Brown.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Agenda item 3B, approval of the minutes. Recommended motion that the Board of School Directors approve the minutes for May 10th, 2022 special school board meeting, subject to any additions, deletions, modifications, or clarifications. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Harvell Brown,
Yes.
Amelia Mills,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris,
Yes.
Rob Fisher,
Abstain.
Andrew Finkbonner,
Yes.
Jennifer Schott,
Yes.
Brandon Roan,
Yes.
Holly Charest.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Agenda item 4A, public comment on agenda items. The board has requested all persons making comments on agenda items to list their name, address, telephone number, and motion items on the sheet provided. There is a 3-minute time limit per person. The board does not take action or discuss items not appearing on the agenda. The board values public comments and wishes to convey that although board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda, they listen carefully and appreciate and value input from the public. And again, I would like to reiterate, because of the large number of public comments this evening, please make sure that we stay within the 3-minute time limit. Lori Shannon Bailey.
Good evening. My first question is about the $15 million tax and revenue anticipation notes, and the question would be, at the present time, or maybe as of the last board meeting, are we currently out of debt, or are we currently out of funds? I'd like to know exactly what this tax revenue is and why are we doing it, would be my first question. And the second question would be, did we exceed our budget during the 2021-22 school year, this school year, which it might be, that might be the same question or might be similar to the question that I just asked. And then the second question would be, does the law prohibit us from exceeding our budget? Those would be those two questions that I have about the finances. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon Bailey. Nina Ortiz.
She would like for me to ask her a question, if that's okay. So in terms of the legal fees that we're seeing, it seems like that we're having an increase in legal fees. So Ms. Ortiz is concerned about whether or not the board plans to approve more funds for mental health support for the upcoming school year. Do you plan to hire more social workers, mental health staff, behavioral support staff? It looks like our taxes are going to increase. In her situation, she'd like to see the board move in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Rhonda Stewart.
Good evening. I too had a question just around how much of the taxpayer dollars would be allotted to the 2023 and 24 budget to hire additional mental health staff. It's my understanding we only have one social worker at the high school, which is extremely concerning, as we know the need is much greater, and just also a parent concern about us just being as proactive as possible as we're supporting mental health within the schools, as well as trauma-informed care with our teachers and supporting our parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Aaron Shriver.
Good evening. I came here tonight originally for one reason only, and as the week has progressed, it has become much more complex and complicated. I came here first tonight to congratulate a teacher, Barb Simmons, on over 30 years of teaching in the music department. I had the great privilege of having her teach me percussion, teaching my 2 sisters, teaching our 3 girls, and she is the kind of teacher that exemplifies why we have stayed in Coatesville School District for the time that we have. Just last week, after our youngest had COVID and went back to school before the concert, I reached out to her in multiple ways. She got back to me to tell me, absolutely, tell your daughter not to worry. I'm going to be right beside her for the ensemble. Also, my son is going to do claves with her. She loves it, and we are happy to have her back. She knows her music and has worked hard. We are there for her. This is the kind of teacher that we need. This is the kind of teacher that leads by example. This is what Coatesville has been, and what I pray Coatesville continue to be, can continue to be. When we see the news today, 14 students dead in a school shooting at an elementary school in Texas, a stabbing here, literally in this building, a teacher on this staff in the district using duct tape on a child, I am appalled at what education is becoming everywhere. Today is the day that this district gets to make decisions about what happens going forward. Today is the day they get to decide what is the example that we are setting for our children. I pray to God it's that we look to people like Barb Simmons, and that's where we find things.
Thank you, Mrs. Shiver. Robin Seagreaves.
Good evening. My name is Robin Seagreaves. I'm here as Robin Seagreaves, alone. I'm not representing any one organization, and these are my independent thoughts. And you know, I always come here with the most positives of attitudes, even when I'm calling you out for stuff I don't like. I can't do that tonight. First and foremost, I'm heartbroken for the families of the incident that happened today. I pray that both of those children come out okay. Who pays for our mistakes? It's not you. It's not admin here, clearly. It's our teachers and it's our students. And we need to fix this here. The same people keep getting in trouble. The same people keep getting educated. But the people who aren't controlling the buildings, the people who aren't taking care of business, are still here every day safe and sound. So who is actually failing here? Where's their accountability? I'm also absolutely disgusted with the handling of the charges against Audra Ritter. The inflammatory statement of charges, even after the investigation, revealed that maybe at best number 1 should have been left on what was publicized, which she agreed and admitted that she made an error in judgment. I know there's racism in this world. I've spent the last 5 years of my life trying to figure out how my whiteness affects people around me and how I don't understand everything about this world. I find it so disgusting that this school used race as a reason to fire a teacher who's been dedicated for this many years, and they fabricated race when it truly does exist. And you're gonna use our community like that when it suits you to get rid of a teacher that you've been dying to get rid of for years. So I know how you're all gonna vote tonight, because you also all knew how you were gonna vote tonight when you saw that name pop up. Not one person took time to actually read through the evidence, actually make sure that everyone's testimony was represented. When the lawyer that handled her case called her, let's see, what was the word? I don't know, a jackass in negotiations. And all she wanted was for that lawyer not to be the one to preside over her case, yet you couldn't even give her that courtesy. These are people who work for you. They deserve respect, even when they've done something wrong. This isn't a hanging or a criminal investigation. So please don't make up racism. You don't have to. It's real.
Thank you, Mrs. Seagreaves. Mr. Yako.
Good evening. My name is Jaden Yako, and I'm an 8th grader at the intermediate high school. Last year was hard, but I liked having Miss Ritter as my teacher. We all knew that we could always stop by her class if we needed a break. She was funny and always had a joke about something. We all had our own inside joke with Miss Ritter. This always made me feel special. Almost every day there was a fight in the hallway. She was always there, the first one to break it up. She didn't have many fights in her classroom because she did a great job stopping arguments from turning into fights. Miss Ritter also made learning fun. She was helpful when she would come into other classes. She kept us accountable and in a good and helpful way, and treated us right. I really liked when she taught us important things, and the end of the year we used fake checks to learn about money. I think she's a great teacher, and she should be able to keep her job.
Thank you, Mr. Yako. Scott Polk.
Good evening. My name is Scott Polk. I'm a resident of Valley Township. I'm a teacher at the Coatesville Area Senior High School, and I'm the first vice president of the Coatesville Area Teachers Association. On Monday of this week, Board President Fisher sent an email to all district stakeholders that informed us that Coatesville Area School District Superintendent Tomas Hanna's resignation would be accepted at tonight's board meeting. We are all aware of Mr. Hanna's leave of absence, so this announcement is not surprising. The email also acknowledged that there would be questions about Mr. Hanna's resignation. However, since it was a personnel issue, quote, such matters are considered confidential. As an employee of the district, I respect the board's decision to protect the privacy of its employees. This is why I have a hard time reconciling how the board feels it is appropriate to not only list a 19-count statement of charges against an employee, but also to name that employee. What happened to confidentiality? While I could use this time to comment on the absurdity of some of these charges, I think it is a better use of the time to ask the board why they felt to publicly name this teacher. I, as an officer of CADA, do not support teachers who break the law. If that is the case, I feel that teachers should be disciplined appropriately. But of all the teachers who have or may receive discipline from the district, why is it this one who is named? Could it be that she happens to be the president of the teachers union? Could it be that this teacher has at times had acrimonious relationships with our board, our solicitor, and our principal? Where is the professional courtesy and respect that was afforded to Mr. Hanna? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Polk. Kathy Elliker.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Elliker. I am a teacher at Rainbow Elementary, and I am also the treasurer for the Coatesville Area Teachers Association. Just a few thoughts tonight. Our membership is here because you are making decisions, and they are here to learn about the decisions that you are making. Question one, Mr. Hanna is gone. He resigned. When you resign, you stop getting paid. Why is he being paid for another 5 months? When a financially strapped district is continuing to pay someone, I have questions. Having one of our own slandered and addressed by name in a board document that is available to the public, which also released private confidential information stating a student with disabilities. And further insult was sent by Dr. Dunlap to the entire community, lumping an attempted murder with a personnel matter, charged her with racism for interacting with a child of a different race, and disturbing a class by knocking on the door. All of this written by a lawyer who has violated our own board policy number 300, civility, which states in part, uncivil behaviors shall be defined as any behaviors that are physically or verbally threatening, either overtly or implicitly, as well as behaviors that are coercive, intimidating, violent, or harassing. Examples of such uncivil behavior include, but are not limited to, the use of profanity, personally insulting remarks, attacks on a person's race, gender, nationality, religion, or sexual orientation, and behaviors that are out of control, such as interactions that could occur in a telephone conversation, voicemail message, face-to-face conversations, written letters, social media, or email message. And HR members and members of the board witnessed the lawyer violating this policy and did nothing. I urge the board to read the Laddermill transcript. You will find that Ms. Ritter admits to a poor decision to de-escalate a student who was using profane language directed at multiple individuals and went from screaming to laughing. But the other charges are in name. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elliger. Next name, the last name is Morris. I'm having difficulty with the first name on the sheet. You are? Yeah. Ms. Morris, my apologies.
Most of you on the board know me. You know me personally. You have sat across the table from me. And here we are today. What are our tax dollars paying for? What is going on in this school? I stood here in 2015, 16, 17, 18, saying that this school was out of control. There is something going on, and you guys are just, we voted in a new board to help with the discipline, to help with the supports. I need to know what is going on. I know for a fact, I have witnessed myself what the schools look like on the inside. My son, both my twins who were jumped in this school back in 2015 still have problems, okay? The one still, he ain't never getting better. Thank you, Coatesville, okay? So, and I know for a fact there are many people in this room who have watched and said nothing to help these kids in this school. I know for a fact because I personally sat with them. They turned a blind eye. These kids, and now we have a stabbing. That poor boy, he'd been bullied. It was brought forth to this board that he was bullied. And here we are again. I am just lost for words about this. This angers me to no end. I thought by coming here and sharing my story about my twins would have helped the matter, but no, now we're up to stabbing. So we got a brain injured kid and we got a stabbing now. And then we had the parent out front. What is going on? Why are you not waking up?
Thank you, Ms. Morris. Jarrell Brazel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jarrell Brazel. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I just had back surgery a few months ago, and my back is still not right. But I had to come tonight because I heard some disturbing news that my favorite teacher of all time is going to be fired. Let me just explain something to you real quick so all you guys can know. Miss, y'all call her Ritter, I call her Altamore, because that's what I met her as, is not racist. I'm black, as you can see, and she's not racist. She was like a mother to me. I met Miss Altamore in 8th grade. She was my special ed teacher, She believed in me. She was the first teacher in Coatesville Area School District that believed that I could become something. And guess what? Because of her, I'm standing here today with my bachelor's degree in business and with my master's degree in ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis with an emphasis in autism. If it wasn't for her believing in me and not looking at the color of my skin, but actually believing me as a human being that I can be something, I wouldn't be here today. I'm telling you guys right now, I know she plays jokes. She played jokes with me, all right? I used to come in this school angry because my home life wasn't that great. My father was off in jail because he was on drugs and robbing people. My mom was a single mom of three kids and stuff like that. We were poor. We were on welfare, lived in the project. I was angry. I was hurt. I was looking for love. And guess what? When I stepped in that room in 8th grade, and I used to give hell, excuse my language, to all the teachers, ask Mr. Fisher, because I gave him a few times. I was sent to the principal's office a few times because of him. But I was angry. But she saw through that. She saw through my anger, and she was like a mother to me. She played jokes with me. She knew that every time that I would get angry, all she had to do was make a joke, make fun of me, tickle me a little bit, or do something silly to make me feel good, and all of a sudden that would break everything, and I would just follow whatever she needed me to do. But that's what I needed. I promise you, the joke that she made was a joke. I promise you that with 100%, because that's the way she is. She breaks through the tape with her jokes. That's how she has always been. Now, to help with the whole behaviors in Coatesville and stuff like that, I will volunteer my time this summer and help in any way possible. Like I said, I have a master's degree in ABA. I know a lot about behaviors. I've been doing it for a very long time. If you need me to come and volunteer to just help with trying to get a program together, I'll definitely come and volunteer and do that. But do not make the mistake by losing this amazing teacher. Please don't make that mistake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brazel. Moving on to agenda item 5A, executive session. Executive session was held on May 9th, May 19th, and May 23rd, 2022 for legal and personnel reasons. Student representative reports. Ladies.
Good evening. My name is Allison Schreiber, and I'm the junior class representative. I'd like to start my report by highlighting some of the athletic successes here on Cache recently. Both our softball and baseball teams have advanced to the District 1 playoffs. The softball team won their first round game yesterday, beating Ben Salem 3-1, and will be playing top-seeded Pennsbury tomorrow at Pennsbury. Our baseball team is the 7th seed and received a first-round bye. They will be hosting Plymouth White Marsh tomorrow evening at home in the second round. Both of our track teams had fantastic performances at the district track meet. Congratulations to Coach Henry and his coaching staff, and the members of the boys track team for winning their 3rd District 1 title in the past 4 championships. Best of luck to the members of the track team this weekend as they participate at the state championship at Shippensburg University. The following boys will be competing: LeBron Bessick, Isaiah Brightman, Drew Dumerat, Amir Haskett, Dave Kelly, Dante London, Rael Miles Eubanks, Josh Miller, Tommy Sylvester, Jabari Stalker, Robert Turner, and Damon Watson. Congratulations to the girls' track coach, Coach Eberly, and her coaching staff, and the members of the girls' track team for their performance at the District 1 meet. The following girls will be participating at the state meet representing our school district: Lorelei Eberly, Chloe Dumerat, Kira Doran, Leanne Greer, Sequoia Lynch, and Lauren Reed. I would like to encourage students to continue their hard work as the year comes to a close. There are not many days left in the school year. The hard work is going to pay off. I encourage students and teachers to push through to the finish line, and to end the year on a positive note. To conclude my report, I'd like to praise my counterpart Elijah for all of her help to our district and myself. The CASH administration and myself would like to thank Elijah for her 2 years of service as the student board representative. You have been a great mentor to me and have done a great job of showing me the ropes of this position. Your dedication and service is commendable through some very uncertain times. We wish you all the best at FAMU. Congratulations, and we will miss you. That concludes my report.
Good evening. I'm Malaysia Hudnell, your senior school board representative. I would like to start my portion of the report by announcing our long-awaited yearbook distribution that will take place Wednesday, May 25th during all lunches. Congratulations to Mrs. Claypool for receiving the Tularia dedication this year. We are all so grateful for all of your hard work and dedication that you do for Coastal Area School District. While our class of 2022 is wrapping up their high school career, we would like to congratulate Jalea Bowman Blanton for earning the honor of valedictorian of the class of 2022. Also, I'd like to give a big congratulations to Scott Bria on earning the position of salutatorian. Congratulations to both students in all of their future endeavors. As the year comes to an end, the class of 2022 is getting ready to end of the year celebrations. The seniors are eagerly looking forward to Senior Prom Parade and Prom, which is held on Friday, June 3rd at 6:15 p.m., and their graduation on Thursday, June 9th at 6:30 p.m. Congratulations to all of the seniors and their families. To conclude my final report as senior school board representative, I would like to thank the school board for giving me this amazing opportunity to work alongside such an impactful group of mentors. I appreciate everything I've learned while being a member of the school board. I also would like to thank the community of Coatesville and the Coatesville Area School District for allowing me to share the accomplishments of our students for the past 2 years. I can proudly say that after graduation, and thanks to all of the Coatesville teachers and staff, I will be attending Florida A&M University to pursue a degree in psychology. Thank you again to the school board for the amazing guidance and opportunities. This concludes my final student report. Thank you.
As Alasia just mentioned, it is with sadness this evening that we will part ways with Alasia after 2 years of dedication as the student representative to the Board of Directors. Alasia, we appreciate all the volunteer time that you've given, and we appreciate your efforts on behalf of the students of the Coatesville Area Senior High School. I did prepare a little bio presentation, but Alasia, you already beat me to the punch. She will be attending Florida A&M University, and she's going to study psychology. Alasia, as you can see, is a very friendly, outgoing young lady who is always willing to help. She served as a photographer for the yearbook, and in her spare time, she works outside of school. You can always find Alasia with Mr. Brazel sharing stories about Florida A&M. And I'm sure, Alasia, somewhere along the line, Mr. Brazel has told you what a wonderful football player he was at Florida A&M. Most of it's true. I know that you will excel at Florida A&M, and on behalf of the entire board, Alasia, we thank you for your service. Moving on to agenda item 7A, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Dunlap.
Good evening, members of the board, members of the community, and our employees of the Coatesville Area School District. As was stated earlier this evening, today was a sad day in our country and a sad day here in our school system related to school violence. Enough information went out about what happened. Moving forward to change this is a direction where we need to talk and come together to solve these situations that our students and our staff face. Tomorrow there will not be high school going on here in a live fashion. It will be virtual. While we are doing that, we will still be providing students and staff members with some counseling services in 4 locations. Here in the high school, across the street in the 8-9 building. We will have a setup at the Benner building for community members that need to talk about this incident, and then another area on the other side of town at the administration building. So we'll have 4 locations to provide mental health services over the next couple days. We will have an increased presence of adults in the building, and during that time, we plan on talking with students to get their input about what they would see as effective change. We will also be getting more staff input. The question came up tonight about hiring social workers and mental health workers. This district agonizes over its funding and how to set its priorities. On one hand, we want to provide services in a building, and I do understand that without safety in a building or in a district, nothing else can happen. But we also have to try to balance that so that we can provide our teachers and our students with the basic education funding needed to support our classrooms. This board has given the district permission to go out and hire 2 additional police officers. We are in the process of doing that. But it's not always about police. It's about establishing relationships. And we need to be able to do that with other folks and adults to help in our building. That will cost money. We will be talking in the future about diverting some money to hire more folks to be able to help in our buildings. In regards to social work, we are looking to place folks here in all of our buildings that are social workers or training to be social workers to get their hours. There's a process that we're looking to make that happen for next year. We are also taking a look at, and these are just happen to be grouped together because the same person is leading this in our district, and that's Mrs. George, our Pupil Services Director. Right now, which started about 2 weeks ago, we're looking at developing our special education plan. Along with that, we are also looking to develop a trauma-informed approach plan. This Thursday will be the 3rd week of that team meeting. That team is made up of staff members, community members, and administrators, and parents in the district. Moving that trauma-informed approach forward is also going to have to enable us to change our student discipline code, to make it more prescriptive and to make it more tiered. And we are in the process of doing that so that we can start that process next year. In the meantime, we are taking some of the money that we have been saving, which we're going to use to pay our police officers, from the security guard company that has had a very difficult time staffing security guards. And it's not just that company that we've been dealing with. Just like other institutions in this country after COVID, there's not a lot of applicants coming to positions. So we creatively decided to take that money and hire more police officers. We will be using some of those funds to hire police officers from local municipalities and pay overtime for, to have them come into our buildings and support our students, not just here in the campus, but in the district. We need to move forward and make our schools safe for our students and our staff. That is paramount. Personally, I feel horrible about what happened in this school district today. We have one student who was seriously injured. I had the opportunity this afternoon to go down and visit with that student's mother and was able to speak with her. We have another student whose life has changed forever because of that incident. Yes, we need help in all our schools. We need our community to help us with that as well. This isn't just a school issue. This is something that happens in our communities and comes in, and just like that happens, Things happen in our schools that affect our communities. And we all need to work together on this. Another aspect of what needs to happen, in my opinion, is that we need to work on our crisis management plans. In the last 2 weeks, we have had to enact our crisis management plans, where we've actually had to bring forth our incident command system and work with county emergency services. We need to make sure that those plans are filtered all the way down to every staff member in the district. We need to be good at this, but not for a reason that we can go out and be good at this to others. We need to be good at instituting a crisis management plan that we're good at to mitigate the loss and the injury of our students and our staff. Over the next couple weeks, as school ends, we'll try to get as much information from students. I know that the summertime is a time where people maybe step back a little bit and try to recharge their batteries. But we will be having some scheduled community meetings in all aspects of our community, in all the municipalities that support our district, and get feedback and be able to bring that back and enact that into our future plans. Pardon me. Moving forward, I will be committed in this district for the time that I am here to make this a safer place for our students and our staff. But I can't do it alone. I can't do it by myself. Everybody on this stage, everybody that's here tonight, I can tell you with 5,400 students in this district, there should be 10,000 parents here tonight committed to making a change in this entire community. We need to do this together. Thank you. Mr. President, that concludes my superintendent's report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. Moving on to agenda item 7B, important dates. June 14, 2022, 6 o'clock p.m., all committees and special meeting, Coatesville Area Senior High School Auditorium. June 28, 2022, 7 o'clock p.m., school board meeting, Coatesville Area Senior High School Auditorium. Agenda item 8A, CCIU proposed land purchase discussions. Mr. Joseph P. Lubinsky, CCIU Director of Administrative Services. Mr. Lubinsky.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the board for providing me the opportunity on the May 10th committee meeting agendas to talk about a project the Intermediate Unit is embarking on. It's the expansion and construction of a new toddler center on the adjacent Career and Development Center campus. If we're successful, it'll allow us to expand our services to dozens of more preschool students in the community. I wanted to just reaffirm the Intermediate Unit's commitment to work with the district on this project. In order to complete this project, we need to acquire 1 acre of land from the Coatesville School District. There is some requirements under the school code that need to be followed, and the Intermediate Unit is also just again confirming we will offer you the district $95,000 for the purchase of that land based on appraisals that we've received, as well as we would also shoulder any transaction cost that the district would incur. That would include closing costs, titling fees, transfer taxes, legal fees associated with court filings. So again, we appreciate the district's consideration of this project, and I could try to answer any questions that the board may have about the project.
Yes, I have one question. Should you decide to sell that land, the school board and the school district would like to have first right of refusal to buy that land back. Does that seem like something you'd be interested in doing or have a problem with?
We wouldn't have a problem with that. Again, we would follow the school code requirements to structure something of that nature.
Thank you.
Mr. Lubitsky, thank you for coming tonight. And for our board members, I think the work that we need to publicly do is really discuss and establish a mutually agreeable price. And if, in fact, the board is interested in moving forward with this project. Open up to board members to converse about whether or not you want to move this project forward, and what are you looking at as a potential fee for this land deal.
Mr. Lubinsky, for those who are here in public and may be watching us, for a point of clarification, the plot of land that you are referring to is east of the football stadium, correct? Across the street and near where the existing toddler center is, correct?
Yes, it's a small piece of land adjacent to the existing toddler center, a portion of Veterans Drive, and then a segment of land along what is now a stormwater basin, approximately 1 acre in size in total.
Thank you.
I, for one, have no opposition to this, understanding the bid process and the evaluations you did and the assessments on the property. My only concern is the same that I'll echo from our last committee prep meeting, our committee meeting, and that is the concerns of an impact of a larger facility, being that Veterans Drive is used for drop-offs in the morning for the campus, and the impact of having more traffic there, what impact that would have on students being dropped off in the morning. Obviously understanding we're not talking about hundreds of additional families utilizing the toddler center, but when you're talking about a narrow 2-lane street, you know, every additional car on that road has an impact in a negative way.
I appreciate that, and we're hoping that the design of the parking lot and dedicated drop-off and pickup lanes that don't exist today would actually mitigate any those problems.
Okay, so it'd be, if I understand correctly, it would be you would defer that traffic in a more organized fashion that would free up Veterans Drive. Would that be accurate to assume that?
Yes, currently there is no formal drop-off and pickup area. They stop right on the street. In this plan, we would create that separate, those separate lanes.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
What's the, I think I might have asked this question, or somebody did ask this question when you did your presentation at the beginning of the month. What's the timeline?
We would like to move through the land development approval process with Cowan Township, as well as the design and bid specifications, so that we could award the bids by January of 2023. That would allow us about a year's time to execute the actual project, and so it could be open by December of 2023, January of 2024.
Board members, we had asked Mr. Levin, the district solicitor, to come tonight to be present because of this type of land sale. Most land sales, the district is purchasing land to build or do things. This is a little different where we're selling land. So Mr. Levin, could you please explain the petition in the Court of Common Pleas and how this process works?
Sure. Section 707 of the Public School Code allows school boards to sell what is referred to as unused and unnecessary lands and buildings. And that section of the school code allows for several different ways of selling. For example, the first way could be by public auction. This would be considered to be a private sale, and where a school board sells property in a private sale, there are a number of conditions that must be met. One condition is that we must obtain the appraisals of 2 independent real estate appraisers. certifying to what the value would be. It's my understanding, Mr. Lubitsky, that we only have one such appraisal at this point.
That's correct.
But the intermediate unit will be receiving and obtaining a second one. And I assume that if it's near the 95,000 that you spoke about, you would increase your offer to match the higher amount.
We would certainly consider that, yes.
Okay. And once the two appraisals are obtained, certain formal actions have to be taken by the board. And one of the actions is to file a petition with the Court of Common Pleas, setting forth all of the information, such as the metes and bounds of the property description, the appraisals that were obtained, the agreement that would be entered into, and as we found out from Mr. Brown, he just negotiated that there be a right of first refusal in the events the intermediate unit wanted to sell the property sometime in the future. So those are essentially what the procedures and processes would be, and as Mr. Lubitsky indicated, the intermediate unit, in addition to paying the purchase price, will be paying all the filing fees for the court, as well as the attorney's fees that are incurred by the school district.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lubinsky? So, Dr. Dunlap, it's my understanding that in the first meeting in June, we will have a proposed motion to move forward with this project, correct?
Correct. As long as the board is in agreement with that, we will draft that.
And that was going to be my next statement. Anybody have any concerns or any opposition to moving this forward to the beginning of June meeting? Seeing none, I think we need to move forward with that. Dr. Dunlap?
Thank you for your consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Lubinsky.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8B, 2022-23 School District Budget Update. Dr. Dunlap and Ms. Diefenderfer.
Again, good evening. Tonight we want to give a brief update on our budget for the 22-23 school year. As you can see on this second slide, we've shared on numerous occasions what has been our roadmap for developing our budget. We project the number of students. We determine the personnel requirements to fit the needs of those students and the program requirements that are needed for the upcoming school year as well as future years. We estimate our expenditures. These include our personnel, our program support, transportation, all costs associated with the running of a school district to support a well-rounded education for students. And then we estimate our revenues, what we receive from our local tax revenues, our state, as well as the federal dollars that come into our school district. Once we have those monies and we know our program needs and our student population, we then work towards balancing the budget. We've considered a number of options this year with ARP and ESSERS. We've been working through our budget and looking at these things, the funding areas that we can help offset in the budget as it relates to COVID-19 from the funds that we have received through ARP and ESSERS. Second, we're looking to see if there are options for reducing some program, and if so, what? Which ones can we reduce that have the least impact on student achievement? But at the same time, we are also looking at increasing certain programming throughout the school district. Next is staffing. Unfortunately, we cannot exclude this option in balancing our budget, since this is such a crucial piece of the budget. We must really weigh these options with the impact it will have on student achievement. Because of what has happened in past years, we want to make this reduction as minimal as possible. And finally, we must consider the property tax increases. which we know could be as high as 4.4% based on the Act 1 adjusted index. At this time, we are leaning towards a 4.4% property tax increase, but this is subject to change as we continue to work with our final budget over the next few weeks. Whatever savings at 4.4% property tax, allowing us to reduce this number. In this next slide, this is what we've done this year to reduce the $9.3 million deficit. This deficit was a result in the increase in debt service of $9.3 million. If you recall, that deficit did not take into consideration other areas of increases, which is part of the budget gap that we have continued to work through to balance this budget. In looking at this slide, we are looking to reduce by 2 administrative positions out of the Act 93 agreement, 1 out of certified and 1 out of non-certified. We are looking at 5 teacher positions, but I want to explain that. Right now, I believe at this stage of the game, and we are still working through this, we are actually only looking at 1 staff member that may have to be furloughed. The rest are through attrition and in programs where student numbers have dropped, and those enrollments dictate the amount of staff that we need in those areas. But we have also increased positions. As you will see on tonight's agenda and in previous agendas, we have increased other teaching positions. For example, one of those sets of teaching positions are 3 teachers for the high school, 1 in the area of English language arts, 1 in the area of biology, and 1 in the area of mathematics. Those positions are to help students with the pathways towards graduation. For students that are not successful on the Keystone exam, one of the requirements, which we changed in our policy this year on the pathways to graduation, is to be able to provide students remediation to pass those tests. So even though it may look like we are reducing numbers, we are also increasing numbers. We are not looking at reducing any of our support staff. We have been able to utilize ESSER's funds to offset some of our costs to the tune of $1.6 million. We have done some things through capital projects, which will save us $6.2 million. And we are looking to balance the rest of the budget out of our general fund of a little over $346,000. Some of the program costs, we've looked at some reductions that we started that we'll be able to continue around MTSS on the elementary level so that we can work with MTSS on the secondary level. We are looking at some reductions with some CCIU programming, our learning platform, and some curriculum resources and carryover that we had from previous ESSER's funding. Ms. Stiefendover.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. What you see here are our current preliminary expense projections for 22-23. We anticipate that these numbers will change as we look towards balancing our budget for final adoption in June. As it currently stands, salaries and benefits are projected at approximately $74.4 million. Support of other schools, which includes charter schools, VOTEC, and approved private schools, is projected at approximately $67 million. Transportation is projected at approximately $9.2 million. Our special education cost is approximately $16.1 million. Other spending, which includes such areas as facilities, technology, building budgets, and athletics, is projected at around $13.4 million. And then debt and legal is approximately $17.9 million, which is significantly higher than last year as a result of our increase in debt by $9.3 million. Total projected expenses is approximately $198.4 million. Next slide, please. Next, we will look at our preliminary revenue projections for 22-23 based on our funding sources. We anticipate that they will continue to change as we work towards balancing our budget for our final adoption in June. We have projected local revenues to be approximately $126.8 million based on our current millage rate of 39.691. We are currently looking at increasing this millage rate by the adjusted Act 1 index of 4.4%. Since a final decision has not been made, we have not reflected that change in our local revenue number, which you see here tonight. We have projected state revenues to come in around the same level as last year at approximately $57.2 million. There could be some potential changes here as well as the state budget gets adopted. So for now, we wanted to keep that at the same level. Finally, we have projected federal revenues to come in around $10.3 million. So based on our preliminary numbers, we are reflecting a $4.1 million budget gap that we'll need to close in order to balance our budget. We will be solidifying these numbers for our passing of our final budget at our next meeting in June.
Earlier in our options to consider, I mentioned property tax increases. Our current millage rate before any increase is 39.691, and we know based on the Act 1 adjusted index, it can possibly go between 0 and 4.4%. At this stage of the budget process, we are looking at a potential tax increase of 4.4%, which will take our millage rate to 41.437. We will continue to explore our options between now and the final budget adoption in June and continue to try and reduce the 4.4% increase as best as we can. This budget timeline reflects these upcoming dates. At our April 26 board meeting, the board adopted the preliminary budget. Again, these are preliminary numbers, and we will continue to work through and on balancing the budget for this final budget adoption on June 14th. May 25th, the final budget was available for inspection. June 3rd, public notice of the intent to adopt the final budget will take place, and on June 14th, the board will vote on a final budget.
So one additional item we would like to discuss is the short-term borrowing we are obtaining. You will see on the agenda tonight that there is a resolution for a TRAN, which stands for a Tax and Revenue Anticipation Note. This slide here gives you some background information relating to the TRAN. Some of you may be aware this is not new for our district, as we have obtained a TRAN for the past 2 years. What this allows us to do is a short-term borrowing to meet our cash flow needs for expenditures that we must incur before we start to receive our local tax revenues, which is around August and September.
Board members, any questions on tonight's presentation on the proposed budget?
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. Moving on to agenda item 8C, Facility Department Maintenance and Custodial Review. Mr. Dan Pellegrin, Director of Operations and Facilities. Mr. Pellegrin.
Good evening, board and the public. This evening, I'd like to do a presentation of the Facility Department, Custodial and Maintenance. This presentation is basically, the mission of the Facility Department is that the Coatesville Area Facility Department works, change the slide please. Thank you. The Coatesville Area Facilities Department works hard to provide facilities that are safe, comfortable, efficient, and conducive to learning. We dedicate ourselves to provide professional services that repair, maintain, clean, and modernize the educational and athletic facilities for our community. Next slide, please. The Coatesville Area Facilities Department is dedicated to keeping the physical plant and grounds of the district clean, functional, and safe within financial and regulatory limitations. Maintenance of equipment, buildings, and grounds is an enormous task for the district of this size. We currently in-house have 12 dedicated employees servicing 9 schools, the Benner Building, and district administration. The total square footage consists of over 1 million square foot under roof, maintained by the facilities department. Coatesville Area School District employees currently are 2 carpenters, 1 plumber, 1 HVAC technician, 1 delivery helper, warehouser, 1 laborer, and 1 grounds crew. Subcontracted to us are 1 maintenance supervisor, 1 plumber's helper, 1 electrician, 1 electrician helper, and 1 general maintenance. Some of the services we perform at the facilities department are heating and air conditioning, carpentry, electrical repairs, plumbing, locksmithing, painting, roofing repairs, custodial services, space rentals, waste management, landscaping, door and hardware repairs, event setups, utilities, and much more. Coatesville Area School District Facilities Department currently outsources some of its operations, giving the district little control over all facility matters in all our schools. The facilities management in-house model provides many benefits over our current model. 1, greater control. 2, provides greater visibility into the individual's daily duties. 3, better responsiveness. 4, sense of ownership, school pride. Related to low turnover, the Coatesville Area School District employees feel like they are part of a campus and tap into that distinctive unity that makes Coatesville Area School District schools so very special. They feel a sense of pride, such as an alumnus, staff, teachers, and students do. And when you feel proud to work somewhere, you care more, you work harder. Low turnover, if any. In an office building, seeing similar faces for facilities management is nice, but in a school, it's essential because it builds trust. If your FM team, such as the cleaning crew, is seen as a revolving roster of strangers, that undermines the sense of community that K-12 schools have as a foundation. Affordable in the right way. An in-house facility maintenance team will be an investment, not an expense. That's because the staff will focus on proactive strategies, safer buildings, and work as one team to ensure our buildings are kept at a high level and a high standard. Here are a couple photos of just the team working together. Actually, this was last year's graduation, so you could see, and we just actually completed this on Monday. This is the graduation setup stands out on the field. The picture to the right is where we were assisting Vitri Electric with bringing the bucket truck into the baseball field. This is the team actually putting down mats to protect the baseball field. Next slide. Why does facility maintenance matter? The appearance of our community school buildings says a lot about our values. A positive relationship exists between school conditions and student achievement and behavior. Students who attend schools in poor condition score 11% lower than those attending schools in excellent condition. Physical conditions have a direct effect on teacher morale, sense of personal safety, and feelings of effectiveness in the classroom. Future public investment in the education system is discouraged if buildings are not maintained. Currently, facility operations observations. So this is what I've seen after a 6-month review. Emergency generators throughout the entire school district were not functional. No PM work was being done to them. Chillers in several schools not fully functional, and no PM performed. Fire alarm systems had several trouble alarms throughout the district and were partially in operation. No service work performed. Kings Highway had several holes in classrooms. We had the maintenance team go through the entire school and close all the holes that were currently in existence, and were successful in doing so. All of our fire alarm systems are currently fully operational. All of our chillers are still being worked on, but we have them at least above halfway in capacity. All of our emergency generators are currently operational in all of our schools, including the stadium. Next slide, please. Here are a couple photographs of some of the equipment throughout the district. On the upper left-hand side is an emergency generator over at Cowan. The generator on the right's up at North Brandywine. This shows the fire alarm system and several other pieces of equipment. Next slide, please. So restructuring the facility maintenance department. Currently, the subcontractor costs are $559,697.64 annually. The current Coatesville facility maintenance custodial costs combined are currently at $2,725,852.16 annually, for a total of $3,285,549.89 annually. The proposed restructuring of the maintenance department will eliminate one custodian between the intermediate and high school, which will then bring that cost to $2,645,122.51 annually. The total, with bringing all of the employees in-house, will then be $3,383,055.22 annually, for an actual savings of $2,494.58. This would be the structure of the new maintenance department. So what the structure looks like is we'll actually be bringing in one new PM specialist that will go throughout the district to do basically all of the PM work in all of our HVAC systems and anything that would require PMs, pumps. We would bring in a plumber apprentice, a general maintenance person, an electrician, and an electrician helper. Next slide. Any questions?
I have one question. You have a lot of in-house people here who've been here a long time, and I would think you're going to give them consideration. As far I notice you have your maintenance manager.
Yes.
Is that outside or inside?
That is an outsourced position. So the person that does that currently is outsourced through a third-party vendor.
But you do intend to give some of our maintenance people who've been here for quite a few years first right of refusal or consideration in some of the jobs?
Yes, we would.
Okay, I'll be watching that because they've been here a long time, and I expect them to get a fair shot.
They certainly would.
All right.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question over here. For the apprentices or the helpers, is there a plan to work with TCHS or any other local labor or trade schools in attempt to not only further reduce costs, but also give new people in a trade a fair shot, especially if they're Coatesville grads?
Yeah, we absolutely would consider anyone that's in the TCHS program to apply for the positions.
Could that be something that is messaged to the TCHS students?
We certainly can make them aware of that, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Pellegrin, I don't have a question, it's more a statement than anything. It's no secret that before I got on the board and even during my time on the board, I've been adamantly opposed to outsourcing positions for a variety of reasons, right? Yeah, there is a cost savings in outsourcing positions, but there's also the tendency to lose the quality of work that's provided, especially when the work's done by people within our community that are invested in our community. So to see you creating these positions back in-house and finding a way to do it without it being, with it being cost-effective, to me this is something that's near and dear to my heart, so it's nice to see that. And I look forward to more incremental increases bringing some of these services back within our own walls. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Pellegrin, ditto to Mr. Finkbonner. move in the right direction, in my
Thank
opinion.
you, President Fisher.
Thank you.
Yep.
Moving on to agenda item 8D, technology update presentation. Mr. Mike Sopcak, Director of Technology.
Good evening, school board, community, and staff. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present. A few update items we want to provide are hardware status, our upcoming collection, inventory, and distribution, an update on insurance, and then also to talk about sustaining a one-to-one initiative.
Mike, I interrupt you just for 1 second, please.
Sure.
Just for the public, this is something that we should have probably had out a long time ago, and that onus is on the administration. It's not on the board. There's a lot of communication that we should have put out as far as this collection and how things are going to be distributed. We do need to collect these Chromebooks. They haven't been collected because of COVID. We need to get an accountability of these. And tonight you're going to see this presentation moving forward, what we plan to do with the collection, what we plan to do over the summer, and what we plan to do with the distribution. I do have some concerns for the district that we need to take a look at what we are going to do in the future to increase the number of devices that we have for our students and be able to replace them in a way that we won't be deficient with numbers each year moving forward. So tonight you're going to hear this presentation. A number of folks have sent in questions. We are going to try to answer those questions tonight and work through this process. Mike, thank you.
Thank you. Quick update on our hardware status to give you counts of devices that we have in our fleet. We have 5,640 HP G611 Chromebooks. Those were purchased back in 2019 using a combination of budgeted funds and utilizing less than $30,000 per year over 5 years from the T-Mobile grant. Just want to take an opportunity to talk about the T-Mobile grant since it's here. T-Mobile, their award or grant to us was for services and a monetary award. It was not Chromebooks. So by services, I mean they actually reduced our service cost per month to 50% and gave us a check for $1 million. What we did with that monetary award was actually shave the money right off the top to pay for services to cover, at no cost to the district, the hotspot services. With that remaining fund, that's how we got to the point where we are able to change from 5 Chromebooks in the classroom to a one-to-one initiative. There are still funds remaining in that award. Last spring, we also purchased 1,500 Chromebooks, 1,000 of which were 1,000 HP G811 and 500 Dell 3100s, both using CARES funds. An update on our collection, inventory, and distribution, as Dr. Dunlap just spoke to. Yesterday, we began collecting our Chromebooks from our students. Cash administration, seniors are not in the last week of school, so we're handling them completely separate. But we do have buildings scheduled 2 times throughout the remainder of the year for our team to go to 2 buildings at a time and collect from the students. Each building will have a cart of 30 devices while we're doing this collection, so that way if there is an online assignment or something that's happening in the classroom, students still have access to technology.
One of the questions, Mike, that came up was about some students being able to access a device to finish out the remainder of the year. And one of my goals today was to have some conversations with a couple departments within the district. I was not able to do that today, but I will be having that discussion and seeing what we can do if there are students that have that need those devices because it's something scripted that they need to have within their educational learning. Then we're going to try to accommodate what we can, but we still need to collect these devices.
Thank you. After collection is complete, we'll utilize the remainder as a team to SWAT or go through each building. Our team, we will lose 2 of our team members during the summer months. The remainder of the team will go through the remainder of June and July to clean, check, and prepare Chromebooks for our distribution in August. Distribution will occur over 3 weeks. Each building will have 2 days and 1 night, so that way there's multiple opportunities for students with their families or guardians to come and pick up their device. Each device, kind of like we did in 2019, will be tagged to each student. And any student that does not pick up their device will be delivered for elementary to their homerooms and for secondary to their libraries. And I'll touch on that here in a second. We will have this process completed prior to the first day of school on August 29th. Quick update on insurance. We are projected currently for a claim rate of 50%. That comes out to just over 3,000 devices that had some sort of repair needed this school year. The school year prior, we were at 30%. We're also working with InsureTel, who's our broker for insurance. Safeware is the insurer, and they actually partner with a repair facility. Safeware stated that they may either option not to insure Coatesville or raise the rate. We're working with the incumbent InsureTel, CDW, and SHI on alternative solutions. One of those, not our broker, has a partner that actually just went bankrupt. That was shared with the board that option is off the table, but that vendor is looking at alternative options for us. Sustaining a one-to-one initiative. A 50% breakage rate is prohibitive expense to sustain this initiative. When we started this in 2019 and we spoke with manufacturers, vendors, and other districts, we were expecting a 10 to 15% breakage rate. In order to combat this, one of the items we talked about was for all students in K through 2 next school year, not take devices home. Educational Services has discussed a solution for any weather events or flexible instruction days to deal with devices not going home. Any student that does not sign the handbook and or pay their insurance will not be permitted to take a device home. Again, all devices will be tagged, including student information, but not IDs. This will be similar to how we distributed in 2019. We're evaluating with the Business Department and Finance Committee to plan future funding. As Dr. Dunlap stated, one of the concerns we have is the breakage rate and again, just sustaining this initiative. So looking at next fiscal year, when we go to do budget season in December, looking at 50% fleet refresh to get us to a solid point, and then a 33% refresh year over year after that. We'll also look to seek and apply for grants and alternative funding source opportunities. We also want to look at signing a multi-year contract with our insurance carrier to lock in our rate. We also want to minimize end-of-year collection and inventory impact education, and we believe tag devices will tremendously be beneficial moving forward. Any questions?
I have a question. What would you say the current breakage rate is for this school year?
50%.
What's that?
Every other device, 50%.
50%, okay. My concern is that if we don't do what's necessary to, fix our technology issues, then any efforts to bring Coatesville up to standard and rivaling other school districts with state-of-the-art technology and learning is only going to hinder us, and I want to see us move forward and exceed because we're better than what people think we are.
Yeah, currently our breakage rate is higher than School District of Philadelphia, so we are, again, that K through 2 student keeping the devices at school, working with insurance to force putting cases on devices. That'll help reduce our breakage rate, and we are looking at options to reduce. I mean, 50%, it takes up a majority of the team's time.
I have a quick question. So do you have what data do you have that shows that the majority of the breakage rate made up by K through 2 students?
It's actually mostly 7th through 8th grade male students.
So then, can I ask how having K through 2 keep their devices at school is going to change that breakage rate?
So anytime that we can keep the devices on site around our staff, that'll help. Also, not having the devices at home, where we believe our K through two students are, we can see from reports and speaking with parents and administration and staff, students are not doing as much educational work at that age at home, whereas they may be looking at games and videos. And we do get a lot of emails from parents saying, hey, can you block YouTube from my kindergartner student at 10 o'clock at night? They need to go to bed.
Okay.
So it may not reduce our breakage rate down to where we need it to be, but it also helps in other areas as well.
So another question, is that your 50% estimation? What is that based off of?
So that's based on our claims. It's not an estimation. It's over 3,000 claims, and we have 7,000 devices. Some devices have been claimed multiple times. It's just a breakage rate per device.
Okay. And two more questions, sorry, Holly.
Sure.
Can any of the repairs be done in-house, again, by TCHS students, kids trying to learn? If we're going to end up making a claim anyway, if it's a broken key, right? These Chromebooks wear out. If it's a broken key, can we try to let a kid who's learning fix it before we send it away and end up having to pay a claim?
I think there's an educational opportunity for students to intern with us and get that learning experience, but we do have a challenge even with professional partners and repair facilities where back around midwinter, they got very behind. They were shipping out wrong devices. They were not shipping back repaired devices. So there's an accountability to us outsourcing that as well.
And finally, what do you attribute the jump from the estimated 10 to 15% initially to over 50% now?
I thought about that, and as I got ready for this presentation, it was interesting that during the pandemic, when devices stayed home, it was 30%, and then when we came back to school, it was 50%. This being our first year with devices in schools full-time and having a full school year under us, I'm going to say pandemic, and I know that's, we all keep saying it. I don't have an answer for that right now.
Okay.
One more question that I just thought of. Is there a possibility if a student wants to utilize their own device, like they have a Chromebook at home they want to use, and then they don't have to have a District 1? Has that been investigated as a possible cost-saving item?
Yeah, prior to going one-to-one, we looked at a BYOD, bring your own device option for students that we did pilot here on the campus. It seemed like a handful of our students did option to go that way, and I did hear devices were used in the classroom. Sorry.
There's like a reverb.
Sorry, a phone or a watch or something. Sorry. So we did look at that prior to going one-to-one. We also discussed, giving students the opportunity to, buy the device outright from us and what that would look like. So that is being explored, but that could be a potential cost savings for the district.
Mike, I have a question for you. So we talked a lot about current devices, but obviously being in the tech world, you know that devices that come out today are on their way to being obsolete 2 weeks from now. So has your department started to forecast when a total replacement, because at some point, those devices are going to run out of firmware protection and things of that nature. So what is the what's moving forward to start to replace devices 2-3 years from now?
Yeah, and every device is different. Typically, it's a 2 to 3 year replacement for a device. That's just how long the technology lasts. Chromebooks are a little different, where they're not quite a business level device, where you're doing a lot of AutoCAD, WebCAD, video editing. Again, the time right now is weird with supply chain issues, where during the pandemic, when we looked at these 1,500 devices, Chromebooks actually started rising up in price to close to $300 a unit. And at that point, that's a little competitive or in the realm of what an iPad would cost. Microsoft has also entered this space because they see how well Google did during the pandemic with that device. So there are full-blown Windows devices that are creeping down to $300. So luckily right now, we're still looking at a sub $300 Chromebook cost. over the next few years, depending what happens with supply chain and how competitive the market wants to be, it may be an iPad or a Microsoft-based device. The Chromebooks we have now, we did a 5-year finance on them, and that was, again, just to get us to a point where we're one-to-one and gave us an opportunity to look at what we're talking about now, which is a 50% replacement cycle and a year-to-year refresh.
So, there's a lot to unpack in that answer there. So, are you looking at 5 years to replace, or are we looking to start replacing 3 years?
A 3-year cycle. And if I can, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a bunch of questions. I'll let you finish
okay.
up. Yeah.
I just wanted to take an opportunity. We did run some numbers on how many devices we collected over the past 2 days, and this is only, again, 2 days out of multiple going here. But currently, we are looking at, of the students we expected to see, a 91.8% turn-in rate. So we are happy to see that, but when we extrapolate that number out to a full population of the district of 5,400 students, there's a potential of about 443 devices not being turned in. So we are working on that, and Reesville was actually our highest turn-in today, so we appreciate that.
So I'm gonna stay on the subject of equipment. We have over 7,000 devices accounted for within the district. That equates to approximately close to $2 million worth of inventory, give or take. So understanding that, like with Chromebooks, there's what's called an end of life, right? To where you lose your Google support. When you lose your Google support from a Chromebook, you lose all of your security support. Yep. So understanding that deadline is looming, 2019, the devices were purchased. I believe it's usually 4 years. Yep. For Google support, 4 to 5.
Yeah, so
right?
when we looked at the G6s, the finance would, so our Google updates and support would last the life of the finance option. So yes, you're correct, and we do want to reduce that number.
So what future buying projections do we have, and this is similar to Mr. Rohn's question, to combat inflationary costs, right? If we're paying, said, $200 today, in 2 years we could be paying $300 for that same device. So what future buying projections, we'll call them, forecasting have we done in order to combat that in the short term?
So again, right now, with all the supply chain, we are seeing a massive fluctuation in pricing. It's hard to project what that'll be year to year, but we did talk about an option for families to participate, students, guardians to participate in if they want to buy and own the device at the end of life. So that may be an option to leverage some of what we can do in the future.
Okay. For sake of our community, as well as the board members up here, do we have an IMS system, which, for those that don't know, the acronym is Inventory Management System? Do we have an inventory management system in place to account for our devices?
We do. When we talked back in January, we went with Snipe It.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I gave you a forewarning. I have a bunch of questions.
That's all right.
You mentioned about if you don't sign the handbook, that our students are going to be required or they will be unable, I should say, to take devices home with them. Can you explain to me how our teachers at the secondary level would manage that? Because every day in a cycle, that student ends their school day in a different classroom, more than likely. So this is a multifaceted question. Have our teachers been prepped on what those expectations are and what the execution looks like? That's question one. Question two is, how do we plan on managing that with our students with the expectation that if they don't sign it, those devices are returned, and how are we accounting for them?
Sure. So the secondary has always been a challenge with keeping devices in the building because of what you just stated. There is no homeroom, there's no advisory, there's no study hall where they end up in the same location. So we talked about if students do not sign the handbook, their device, and that's why I shared, if they don't come pick up a device, they probably didn't sign their handbook. Any student that doesn't sign and pay for their insurance, and we're hoping to do that on distribution night, if that does not occur, it'll end up in a cart in the library. And we're actually looking to stand up like a student-run help desk that will actually manage those carts, hand them out in the morning, and collect them in the end of the day.
Okay. So kind of focus on the here and now with this question is, I'll be honest with you, I was a bit shocked to hear that we were collecting Chromebooks before the end of school. I understand the logistics of it, right? You've got a window to collect them. and it's really not my place to agree or disagree with it. But the reality is that if I was surprised by it, I'm wondering if our teachers were surprised by it as well, right? Every teacher plans out their lessons, and some teachers plan out their lessons 2 weeks in advance. So were teachers given ample heads up to know that these devices were being returned, understanding that their lesson plans were probably centered around use of that technology in the classroom?
No, and that's on me. I mean, I know they plan well in more than 2 weeks in advance, so not having that noticed impacts what their lesson plans were for the end of school year. So that's why we do want to make sure we clean this up for collection in the future.
Okay. And I'm going to circle back to start of school year. So now we're focused on end of year. We're going to go to start of school year. Last year, into October, we had, I don't want to say many, because I don't know truthfully if that number was, but the fact of the matter was, into October, we had students that had not received Chromebooks. That's almost 2.5 months into the start of a school year. What mitigation steps are we taking go forward to ensure? I saw that we have a distribution plan, and plans are great on paper, but there's a plan and there's the executables. So what steps are we taking to ensure and account for every single student by that end of the first week of school? Every single student in our school district has a Chromebook.
Sure. The challenge to start the school year was I didn't want to tell you guys every student had a device when I couldn't sit here honestly and answer that question for you. So we went around, did an inventory when the students did arrive back in the school from the pandemic. It's the first time we had the students. Part of collecting this summer is so we can account for those devices. And again, just like when we initially purchased the devices, assign them to students. So they will be assigned. So when they come to pick them up on distribution night, they're out of our hands. When they are not picked up on distribution night, they will end up in the student's classroom for elementary, and then in the library and the carts for secondary. So we will know every student is issued a device, and we'll know where it's located.
Okay. Final 2 questions, I promise. I'm sorry to monopolize the board's time here, but we have a 50% breakage rate. I'm assuming of that 50%, of overwhelming majority of them probably resulted in some type of replacement claim with our insurance, right?
Correct.
Understanding how insurance works, we all have cell phones in this room, so we understand, your cell phone stops working, you have insurance on your device, you get a replacement device in a relatively quick turnaround. So can you kind of walk me through the process of when we have a breakage and we file a claim? Are we getting compensation for those 50% of devices? Are we getting replacements for those 50%? And what's the turnaround time look like? Because one of the disappointing points of this year was hearing parents reach out to me saying, my child was told we don't have a loaner device for them, right? So they're sitting in a classroom where everybody around them has a device with the exception of them, or maybe one other student. So that's not really, in my opinion, that's not boundaries for an equitable education. So how are we preparing for that go forward? And can you explain a little bit about that process currently within our insurance company?
Sure. So one of the things we did this school year to hopefully combat that was looking to put a cart of 30 loaners in the office, for a student that forgot a device or something like that. That doesn't handle the situation where repairs were just taking an extremely long period of time. What we're looking to do, the insurance and unlimited claims is a protection for the district, but we did see certain, limited cases where students may have abused that or taken advantage of it and gotten 8, 9 devices in the course of a year. That impacts, their fellow student, where now we have hundreds of devices tied up in repairs. So again, the reduce and the 50% is not a whole loss or a claim, $240, and what insurance would do is send us a check for $240 that goes in the general fund. It does not mean 50% of our devices were paid out this year. It just means 50% of our devices went through some kind of claim process. Could be cracked screen, broken keyboard, liquid damage, that sort of thing. Again, the unlimited claims protects the district, but we may need to look at a situation where it's more of a protection plan, where it's a cost that or an insurance fee that covers one claim. After that, it's almost like a renewal. So if you're doing 8 or 9 claims a year, you may have to look at either making that insurance fee 8 or 9 times a year, or as our principals have done a great job, knowing the students that break a lot and dealing with that on a case-by-case scenario.
Last question, promise. It's the end of May, so I'm almost scared to ask this question. but what does extended school year look like with devices for students, summer school? For those that don't know, if we're collecting devices, are we collecting them and then redistribute them?
Yeah, so I'm in the same boat as you. I was concerned about that going into the summer and knowing that we had that 50% breakage rate, and that's why I shared what our collection rate looks like right now, and that I'm pleasantly surprised to see what that number looks like. Doesn't mean that that 91% is usable, but we did do some quick checks, again, just to get the students through and back to class, because we were interrupting their class to do this. We are not planning on moving devices from the building to district office to go through a process to make our lives easier. We're going out to the buildings to SWAT the buildings and clean these up. One of the first things we have to do as soon as school wraps is get ready for ESY. We have talked about knowing what that enrollment it looks like in the buildings that are holding ESY and setting those up and getting those ready so we can move forward. My understanding is that the students will use the devices, but they are not taking them home for ESY. So the great part is we'll know that many devices are ready to go, and then we just continue with our process to get ready for next school year.
Okay. No more questions for you, Mr. Sobczak. Dr. Dunlap, I would propose go forward, obviously given the dire financial needs of the district and the financial implications of our technology. I would like, if not monthly, at least every other month during our finance committee, our public finance committee meetings, that we do just a brief technology update on progress, just to keep the board apprised of advancements in the technology program. Go forward.
Will do.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
I have a question.
oh, sorry, go ahead, Becky.
Going back to where a student does not sign the handbook or is not able to do the insurance and the device has to stay in the building. What is the process going to be for all of the teachers in the buildings to know who doesn't take home a laptop?
Yeah, so at the elementary, we can create that list so that way the elementary teachers know and they have that same cohort of students. Again, at the secondary, it'll be in the library in carts. We're looking to have that handled by like a student-run help desk. So they'll know, and it'll be slotted. It can be students' name. They'll know what students checked out that day and what devices need to come back by the end of the day.
So the teachers won't know.
At the secondary level, we don't. I mean, it's going to be hard for those staff to deal with that because again, there is no homeroom advisory study hall for them to make those checks. So at the elementary, there's a way to do it. At the secondary, I find it a little bit more challenging to put that on the staff.
So there is a potential that some students could walk out with a laptop.
There is, and we'll put procedures in place with the student-run help desk that we get that report and we can work with administration to work with the student.
Okay.
If it's habitual, I would anticipate that student, maybe that device has to be checked in a different location or with a different, maybe my team or something like that, one of our employees.
Do we plan on having that plan in place before the start of next school year? Because I think the likelihood of students at the end of the day being rushed for the bus or rushed for a ride or whatever the case is really, the likelihood of them leaving with a laptop when they shouldn't is really, really high. So having a definitive plan in writing and in place before the school year starts is absolutely a must.
Yep.
If we're looking at driving down costs. I also think, especially at the secondary level, and I know you said it would be a student-run help desk, I think it is important to keep it that way while also keeping an eye on what the dynamic between those students may be. Because I think expecting the teachers to manage one more thing is an unrealistic ask.
I hear you. Thank you.
Ms. Schott, we plan on the technology handbook is the administrative regulation to carry out the procedures around technology. We plan this summer to have all that information in this handbook so that people will know when those Chromebooks are redistributed, of what is going to transpire over the course of the next year. So we're going to have all that information in there, and we will be bringing that back to the board so that you can see that technology handbook with that information prior to us going out with distribution in the fall.
Mr. Sobczak, point of clarification, please. Several times you've alluded to a cart in the library, correct, at the secondary level?
Yes.
As a former secondary level administrator, who will be supervising that?
So as Dr. Dunlap and Ms. Schott just stated, so we're going to look for students to run that morning and at the end of day. If it's an issue and in general, just our team going in and checking in, following up, making sure that it doesn't become, hey, we're friendly, let me make sure you get your device, hold on to it. So we'd like for students to run this. That could be an opportunity for them, but we also need to oversee it as a technology department, not teachers.
Any other questions for Mr. Sopcich? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item 9A, adoption of consent agenda. Recommended motion that the Board of School Directors approve the consent agenda items. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Committee meeting action items considered routine will be enacted upon under one motion unless removed for separate action upon board request. The purpose of the consolidated motion is to expedite governing board action on all consent items which are not held for discussion. Items that have been held for discussion by the governing board will be enacted upon at the time the item is discussed. This evening, I would like to remove from consent agenda the following items. Under number 10, Finance, I would like to remove from consent agenda letter A, financial statements. Letter B, resolution for tax and revenue anticipation notes for 2022. Letter O, creation of position maintenance supervisor. Letter P, creation of position electrician. Letter Q, creation of position plumber apprentice. Letter R, creation of position PM HVAC specialist. Letter S, creation of position general maintenance. Letter T, creation of position electrician apprentice. In addition, under finance, I would like to remove from consent agenda letter O, release and settlement agreement employee 14280. Letter V, approval of resolution. And finally, letter W, human resources report. Under agenda 11, item 11, Education Committee, I would like to remove from consent agenda the following agenda items. Letter F, G, H, I, and J, which are all proposed adjudications. At this time, from my colleagues, are there any other items to be removed from consent agenda this evening? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Holly Charest?
Yes.
Rob Fisher?
Yes.
Harvell Brown?
Yes.
Andrew Finkbonner?
Yes.
Brandon Roan?
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris?
Yes.
Amelia Mills?
Yes.
Becky Harlan?
Yes.
Jennifer Schott?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Chairman Finkbonner, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. First up, we have letter A, financial statements. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the financial statements, bills, payables list as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Andrew Finkbonner?
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris?
Yes.
Brandon Roan?
Yes.
Harvell Brown?
Yes.
Becky Harlan?
Abstain.
Holly Charest?
Yes.
Rob Fisher?
Yes.
Jennifer Schott?
Abstain?
Amelia Mills?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter B, resolution for tax and revenue anticipation notes for 2022. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors authorize up to $15 million tax and revenue anticipation note series of 2022, awarding the notes at private sale, approving a form of offering memorandum, authorizing incidental action, and making certain security and tax representations, and rescinding inconsistent resolutions as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Mary Ann Harris?
Yes.
Becky Harlan?
Yes.
Amelia Mills?
Yes.
Andrew Finkbonner?
Yes.
Harvell Brown?
Yes.
Jennifer Schott.
Yes.
Holly Charess.
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter O, creation of position maintenance supervisor. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the creation of one in-house maintenance manager position for the Facilities and Operations Department to service the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Finkbeiner, I removed these several items from the consent agenda, letters O through T, in the event that there may be any other additional questions or comments for Mr. Pelican before the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. And just as a point of clarity to our community, these positions that are up for vote tonight were in the presentation from earlier, citing the addition of bringing these positions back in-house. Any other questions or comments? See none, we'll call for a vote.
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Becky Harlan.
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner.
Yes.
Jennifer Schott.
Yes.
Harvell Brown. Amelia Mills.
Yes.
Holly Charess.
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris. Yes. Motion approved.
Letter P, creation of position electrician. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the creation of one in-house electrician position for the Facilities and Operations Department to service the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Amelia Mills.
Yes.
Holly Charess.
Yes.
Becky Harlan.
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris.
Yes.
Jennifer Schott. Yes. Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner.
Yes.
Harvell Brown. Motion approved.
Letter Q, creation of position plumber apprentice. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the creation of one in-house plumber apprentice position for the Facilities and Operations Department to service the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Amelia Mills.
Yes.
Jennifer Schott.
Yes.
Holly Charess.
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner.
Yes.
Becky Harlan.
Yes.
Harvell Brown. Mary Ann Harris.
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Affirmative.
Motion approved.
Letter R, creation of position PM HVAC specialist. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the creation of one in-house PM HVAC specialist for the Facilities and Operations Department to service the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? See none, we'll call for a vote.
Harvell Brown. Andrew Finkbeiner.
Yes.
Amelia Mills.
Yes.
Jennifer Schott.
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris.
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Becky Harlan.
Yes.
Holly Charess.
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter S, creation of position general maintenance. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the creation of one in-house general maintenance position for the Facilities and Operations Department to service the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Jennifer Schott.
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner.
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Becky Harlan.
Yes.
Holly Charess.
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris.
Yes.
Harvell Brown. Amelia Mills.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter T, creation of position electrician apprentice. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the creation of one in-house electrician apprentice position for the Facilities and Operations Department to service the Coatesville Area School District as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote.
Becky Harlan.
Yes.
Harvell Brown. Amelia Mills.
Yes.
Holly Charess.
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner.
Yes.
Jennifer Schott.
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Affirmative.
Mary Ann Harris.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter U, release and settlement agreement, employee 14280. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the confidential release and settlement agreement for employee 14280 as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We'll call for a vote.
Becky Harlan.
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris.
Yes.
Harvell Brown. Holly Charess.
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner.
Yes.
Jennifer Schott.
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Amelia Mills.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter V, approval of resolution. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the resolution for statement of charges as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We'll call for a vote.
Holly Charess,
No.
Rob Fisher,
Yes.
Jennifer Schott,
No.
Andrew Finkbonner,
Yes.
Brandon Roan,
Yes.
Harvell Brown,
Yes.
Amelia Mills,
Yes.
Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter W, Human Resources Report. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the resignations, appointments, new positions, leave of absence, transfers, change of status, and corrections as presented. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Finkbonner, I pulled this off consent agenda. I would like to call everybody's attention to Human Resources Agenda Item 1A, numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5. This evening, it is with regret that the Board of School Directors will accept the retirement of 124 years of service to the Coatesville Area School District. Carolyn Worth, art teacher here at the campus, 35 years of service. I had the privilege of working with Mrs. Worth for many years and appreciate all that she did for our talented art students during that time. Linda Darling, school nurse, 20 years experience. Barbara Marsh, Reeseville Elementary School teacher, 34 years of experience. And as mentioned earlier this evening, Barbara Simmons, music teacher, Cowan Elementary School, 35 years of service. On behalf of the entire Board of School Directors, we thank each and every one of these soon-to-be retirees, and we wish them nothing but the best health and happiness in a long retirement. Thank you to all.
We'll call for a vote, please.
Andrew Finkbonner,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris,
Yes.
Amelia Mills,
Yes.
Harvell Brown, Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Holly Charess,
Yes.
Rob Fisher,
Yes.
Jennifer Schott, Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Motion approved.
In the absence of in-person tonight for Chairman Mills, Mrs. Harlan, would you please read off the agenda items removed from consent agenda under the Education Committee?
Yes. Starting with letter F, proposed adjudication for student 100142331. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposed student adjudication for student 100142331. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Any questions? Call for the vote.
Andrew Finkbonner,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris,
Yes.
Brandon Roan,
Yes.
Amelia Mills,
Yes.
Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Holly Charess,
Yes.
Harvell Brown,
Yes.
Jennifer Schott,
Yes.
Rob Fisher.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter G, proposed adjudication for student 1007833. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposed student adjudication for student 1007833. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Any questions or comments? Let's call for the vote.
Holly Charess,
Abstain.
Rob Fisher,
Yes.
Jennifer Schott,
Yes.
Andrew Finkbonner,
Yes.
Harvell Brown, Mary Ann Harris,
Yes.
Amelia Mills,
Yes.
Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter H, proposed adjudication for student 1007156. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposed student adjudication for student 1007156. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Call for the vote.
Brandon Roan,
Yes.
Becky Harlan,
Abstain.
Rob Fisher,
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner,
Yes.
Jennifer Schott,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris,
Yes.
Amelia Mills,
yes,
Harvell Brown, Holly Charess.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Letter I, proposed adjudication for student 1009844. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposed student adjudication for student 1009844. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Call for the vote.
Rob Fisher,
Yes.
Andrew Finkbeiner,
Yes.
Amelia Mills,
yes,
Jennifer Schott,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris,
Yes.
Brandon Roan,
Yes.
Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Holly Charess,
Yes.
Harvell Brown. Motion approved.
Letter J, proposed adjudication for student 1004570. Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approve the proposed student adjudication for student 1004570. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Let's call for the vote.
Jennifer Schott,
Yes.
Harvell Brown, Andrew Finkbeiner,
Yes.
Rob Fisher,
Yes.
Becky Harlan,
Yes.
Holly Charess,
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris, Amelia Mills,
yes,
Brandon Roan.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you, Mrs. Harlan, for pinch hitting. Moving on to agenda item 14, public comment. The board has requested that all persons making comments of public concern to list their names, address, telephone number, and topics on the sheet provided. There is a 3-minute time limit per person. Lori Shannon Bailey.
Good evening. Regarding the adjudications, I would just like to remind the board to please make sure that you all are very careful to make sure that no student, especially a student with an IEP, is not excluded from a plan that is an alternative education plan. I have met 2 students that, for whatever reason, was not given that particular plan. I still am against adjudications. I understand we have problems in this district. I get it loud and clear. I don't know what those problems are. I'm not in those conversations. But I know that we are a strong community. I know that there are resources that are available. I don't like to see students in the school to prison pipeline, and that's what my concern is. I do believe that we have a large number of Black and brown and Hispanic students in the school to prison pipeline in this adjudication process, and it bothers me to no end. So as a resident, as someone who has a nonprofit supporting children in the criminal justice system, I continue to be disappointed in the decisions that you all are making, putting our vulnerable families in this program. So I am deeply disappointed in your ongoing decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon Bailey. Nina Ortiz.
If I may. Ms. Ortiz currently has 3 children with IEPs. Unfortunately, she has not been provided support and or any type of guidance with IEPs. She currently is experiencing some challenges with the administration in terms of processes and policies with IEPs. We would like to be able to communicate from a positive, collaborative perspective. That currently is not happening. So a reminder for families who don't have resources, don't really know where to turn to in terms of IEPs. There are many in the district. I'm proud to be able to support this family. Again, she has 3 children with IEPs. 2 are in the district, 1 isn't. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Deborah Smith.
if I may speak on behalf of Deborah. She had to leave for the evening, and I have her words that she sent me. She and her family moved to Coatesville back in March, and after a few weeks, my daughter came to me and asked if I was put in this school because she was bad. I, of course, said no. She said she's seen numerous fights, even a leg broken. Was this a school for bad kids? My daughter asked. On May 2nd, I went to Scott Middle School to drop off something for my daughter, and I was told by a school employee they had just seen her moments prior, and after telling her to take off her hoodie, she admitted she was embarrassed because someone had just cut her hair during art class. I got a roundabout story. I finished up and went to have her pulled to see how she was. I took one look at her and I knew. I said, "Do you need me to take you home?" Another employee rustled us into a room and we began talking about the incidents of the morning. Apparently, and from what I recall, a student that was in 6th grade went after another student with a pair of scissors. In her pocket, they found hair. As the administrator told me, they never knew how Brianna and her hair came into play until I pulled my daughter. Now, the assistant principal has been lovely. The teacher on duty even called to apologize. But the student, from what I know, only got 2 days out of school. There was another that participated. I don't know what or if something happened to them. Now, just for the record, my daughter identifies as Black. I don't know the first names or last names involved. Mind you, there were multiple. I do not even know what the nationality or race was, and it really didn't matter to me, nor does it. The problem is I send my daughter off to school every day, and she's supposed to be safe and secure and not come home with the issues she has now. We are a special ed family. She gets good grades. The school is finalizing her IEP and doing testing, and I was told her anxiety was extremely high today. Now I'm just like anybody with an average household. Her father has passed. I'm disabled. And I'm looking for the school for help. I called 2 police departments to file a report. I was told you have to speak to the school police department, and I was assured they would call me shortly. They never did. When asking the school, I was told he was on vacation and would be reachable this week. Here's his email. My daughter is now scared to be at Scott Middle School. Today she watches the news and heard about stabbings and even the issue of the duct tape and the teacher. Now, I haven't been here long enough to know your workings, but something is wrong. There's a mother with a child in the hospital tonight. I can't even imagine how she feels or the family feels. My daughter has always been a target. I thought maybe moving out here would do better. She had recently moved from domestic violence in New York to our district. She's a target for just being an 11-year-old with self-esteem being low and having things that have happened to her. I just want to note, I've tried to call 4 times to the school, the assistant principal and other staff since this issue. No return call regarding this matter that I received. I am lost. If that child had slipped those scissors, God knows what could have happened to my daughter. I'm a frustrated parent, and I want to see change, support, mental health support, and communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Shivert.
I just wanted to take a moment on a non-agenda item to say, as a fellow teacher, this has been the hardest year for teachers, absolutely. I've only taught 23, not as long as some of the retirees, but by far it's been the hardest. And the experience that our 3 children have had this year through a variety of different struggles has been immense, from the teachers to the support staff to the administration to the school board. And there are many, many good things in this district. They get overshadowed. But there's a lot of really good going on. And our family would not be able to be where we are today in this school year and have our 3 kids still going to school here this year without the support from the people in the district. So I do want that to be heard, because it has been a challenging year, and there are many people that have risen to the challenge, and we greatly appreciate that. I'm going to turn it over to my daughter, because she's going to say it way better.
Thank you, Aaron.
I'd like to start off by stating that I'm speaking as a passionate lifetime student of this district and not as a junior class representative. I would like to talk for a quick moment about the future of our district. As I said earlier, my name is Allie Shriver, and I'm a junior here on campus. I have attended Coatesville School since kindergarten over at Callan Elementary. I will forever be grateful for the education and opportunities I have received throughout my time here. However, I believe the people in this district need to step up. We must all make sacrifices in order for our district to make progress. Progress is vital to our survival and our image as a district. There are groups and individuals that must step up more than others. There are teachers, parents, administrators, and students that must step up. I am the first one to defend our school and our district, to say I'm from Coatesville no matter where I am or whatever backlash I may receive. However, the good aspects of this district that I am so often quick to point out are constantly being hidden by the bad. Student accomplishments are hidden by restricted movements caused by student fights and threats. Life-changing, hardworking, and inspiring teachers are hidden by those who make bad and inconsiderate decisions. Coatesville is a district that I will continue to defend, no matter how hard it gets, no matter if anyone else will, because I see the good. I see the DCCC graduates. I see the elementary school students working together on field day. I see the counselors and administrators that care about their students as if they were their own children. I see the teachers that spend countless hours for their students. Without progress, defending this district that I love so much will become even more difficult. I urge the students, teachers, parents, and community members to step up, make sacrifices, and continue to work towards progress to achieve the task of challenging the narrative of the Coatesville School District. While I will be going away to college after next year, I will forever be from Coatesville and want nothing less than the best for our district and community. But to reach that potential, we need progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison, and I neglected to mention earlier, we look forward to you returning with us next school year and moving over a seat and taking over the senior class representation. Thank you. Jem Matthey.
Hello. Liren and I came here tonight representing the original Technology Task Force to address many concerns that we have regarding technology. We do also acknowledge that there are bigger and more pressing issues this week, so you may not be able to hear us in this moment, but we're going to say what we came to say so that it's all on record. 30 laptops in each building for the last 12 days of school is a major concern. We have 100% of our kids behind in their education because of a pandemic. We have created an educational system that is now totally reliant on these Chromebooks, and we're taking them away for the last 3 weeks of school. Were other options given to the teachers? Was it discussed? To date, there is no communication from the intermediate school on how Chromebooks and when Chromebooks will be collected. Other schools have given dates. It's inconsistent information. Taking these laptops away gives us no possibility for remote learning due to incidents, weather issues, or absences. For instance, CASH is scheduled to be virtual tomorrow. You say tagging the devices will be faster. You should, as I recall, have data on what student has each computer right now because of the inventory done earlier in the year by building. This should all be recorded and tracked, similar to what was done during distribution initially. Looking forward, what is the process for distribution? Handbooks need to be done over the summer and submitted to the board for review prior to distribution. There's no discussion as to how parents will sign the one-to-one handbook and pay the insurance fee, not in November, and actually pay it this year. That was turned down multiple years in a row. How are we going to initiate that this year when we hand out the laptops? We have students being told not to bring their laptops in that are broken because there are no loaner devices. So they're keeping their laptops that are broken. So our numbers probably aren't even a 50% breakage rate. They're probably higher because students are using their broken laptops. So we bought over 7,000 devices and full insurance, and somehow we still don't have enough devices for the kids. Where are they? How many devices are in each building? How many are missing? What are the monthly numbers? We don't have data. The board asked for data every 2 to 3 months since September, and we got it once. As a side note, I tried to look up that information, and the board meeting videos prior to September 28th have been deleted, so I can't look at any of that. This is going to be confusing.
After, okay.
Okay, so
How many were actually sent in, and how many do we have back? Is that for Chromebooks?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. 50% breakage rate, does this take into account all the laptops that weren't sent in last year? Because they were...
Home.
Sorry. Could the number be skewed at all? Is the breakage rate due to accidental or intentional damage? We currently have insurance on every laptop, so all laptops should be fixed by the time the insurance runs out. Why are we trying to replace 50% and not use the insurance to repair them? Where are we? How much money have we actually lost over the last 3 years? You're counting yet again on a grant to sustain an initiative, budget sustain initiative grants boost them. Sorry, we just almost done, promise.
Okay.
Are there line items in the budget already for replacing these laptops? How does the technology department do the budget each year? If staffing is an issue to keep the program above water, why have we not seen requests for additional tech staff? Again, I understand there are bigger and more pressing issues right now, so, did you already read that?
No.
May not be able to take action today, but we do need to take action.
And we'll send it all to you, so if you
Oh,
can
yeah.
contact us, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Kathy Elliger.
Good evening again. Just a few comments here. They're collecting the Chromebooks. We have 3 weeks of school, and we have a paper shortage. So it's kind of leaving the teachers with their hands, feet, everything tied. Also, we are 38 days away from the expiring contract, and we need a fair and equitable contract, and we need to have financial figures. And this is something the association has repeatedly brought up. There are concerns about student behavior. We've done it in liaison. There has been little to no action, even when CADA proposed solutions. Habitual behavior issues in all buildings is a safety risk for students and staff alike. Students in the elementary are being permitted to wear themselves out while throwing furniture, climbing glass walls, destroying school property, and teacher property. In addition, students cursing at teachers and demonstrating disrespect to all members of the school community is reprehensible. And now we have our second knife issue at the high school. These issues are escalating, first threatening, now stabbing, with a student recovering in the emergency room. What's next? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elliger. Terrell Brazel. Mr. Brazel.
Well, my name is Letitia Tools, and I'm a Coatesville resident, and I've been here pretty much all my life. my children actually don't go to Coatesville anymore. And my son wanted to come back, but after, I hear all this stuff, it's really not a good idea for him because he's not that type of kid and not used to all that. But my problem is I had difficulty getting my kids educated at Calhoun Elementary, so I moved them out of the school district. And now it's like we're supposed to be getting bused from Coatesville to Exton, and that's not being done. I work, I'm a single mom. I own my house down over there in Thorndale. But you're supposed to bus my kids to and from school, and you're not doing that. Don't send me no email. Don't send me no message. Don't call me. It is not my responsibility to be taking my kids from school to home. If you pick them up, you need to bring them back. You should not be stranding my kids in Exton when they live in Thorndale. And don't say I made the decision to send them to a Catholic school, because I'm not Catholic. So make sure the next time you pick up my children from my house that you bring them back. Don't send me no more emails telling me that I gotta come pick up my kids. That is not my job, it is not my responsibility. I pay taxes over $7,000 a year. A year. You can't educate them? And you can't bus them home? Are you serious? I will not tolerate it, okay? And you know this. So from this point on, it's only about 9 days left of school. Do not email me. Do not call me. I don't care. I don't care who you send out there from Kraft, whoever. But you need to have somebody pick up my children and stop stranding them. I work. I'm not going to lose my job because you're not doing your job. Okay? So let's get it right. And I already told you, I will not tolerate this. You know who I am, and I know you do. I will not tolerate that. Do not strand my kids in Exton again. You pick them up, you better bring them back. All right? And that's all I got to say. You know who I am.
Moving on to agenda item 16, informational items. To my colleagues, there are a list of ARs listed there at this time. Are there any questions for Dr. Dunlap and his staff on any of the ARs that are listed? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
We will adjourn at 9:29.
Suspects in